Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
This is my top 5 arcade games. It has been forever since I played arcade games, but I loved playing them growing up, going to the arcade. There was actually a time where I was going to get a second job being a game tester. This is back in like high school, so like mid-90s maybe. Got to take a tour of a video game place, and they had like arcade games that you could just play for free in the lunchroom. It was amazing. I thought that was going to be my life. I thought I was just going to be a video game tester, and then just, that was going to, but that never happened. Never happened. But I love playing arcade games. These are my top 5. These are my personal top 5 arcade games. Starting off with number 5. It's a similar theme in a lot of these games where it's not your standard arcade game. My number 5 is Cruisin USA. This is the car simulator game where you're sitting down in your car seat and you have a stick shift and you do all these different courses, and having that race car simulator is something that I had always wanted to get for when I had PlayStation and Xbox, and I was into, was it Forza? I think one of those racing simulator games. I always wanted to get like a rig where you can sit in it, and you have the force feedback on the steering wheel and an actual stick shift, so you can drive like manual. But yeah, Cruisin USA was amazing. I don't know if I ever played it after having the ability to drive real cars, but as a kid, being able to sit in that kind of simulated cockpit of a race car was a lot of fun. Such a fun game. That's my number 5. Number 4 is another type of game that has a very interesting gameplay mechanic. My number 4 pick is Silent Scope. This is a video game that you are a sniper, and you have a rifle, right? And then the scope has a video screen in it, and that video screen in the scope is what you see is the zoomed in version of what you see. Such a fun game. I love the sniper kind of thing in games, playing Call of Duty mobile on my phone. I love getting the sniper rifle. It's my go-to weapon. I love being far in distances. I love sniper movies. It's just kind of an amazing thing that you could be so far away and then shoot something. But yeah, Silent Scope. It was just so much fun. Looking in the scope and getting a different thing. It's a video game that they had at the movie theater I worked at. So I would play it quite a bit, on breaks or after work, before work, whatever it is. I loved playing that game so much, played it so much. So coming in at number 4 is Silent Scope. Number 3 is another like kind of a mounted gun type of a game. Didn't have a scope on it. But it was a really fun game based on one of my favorite movies at the time. Coming in at number 3 of my top 5 arcade games is Terminator II. This is a video game that kind of follows the story in some ways of the movie Terminator 2. You have a gun that you're shooting the different Terminators with. And it's a game I remember getting to the end of at one point. I was on vacation with friends. A friend's family, and they used to give us, rolls of quarters to go to the arcade. Like we'd be staying at some hotel or whatever, and the hotel had an arcade. This was a game that I fed a lot of quarters into. I remember getting to the end. I think we beat it. I want to say it had a 2-player thing where there was another gun. So my friend would come and, but I was just hooked on it. I loved that game so much. I enjoy those kind of gun holding games from the old Duck Hunt from the NES days. I remember as a kid playing Duck Hunt, I made myself like a little holster for the handgun, the light gun for the Nintendo, and I would hide behind the couch. And then I think you would hear like a sound, like there'd be some kind of cue sound where it'd be just before the birds fly out, the ducks fly out of the grass, and I'd be behind the couch and I'd hear that noise and I'd jump up and then try and shoot. I was getting into it so much. I was mixing my video game play with kind of pretending I was in an action movie as a child. But yeah, Terminator 2, so much fun. Remember being so stressful at the end of the thing because you had your bullets and then you had like these grenades that you could launch too. But just such a fun game. I remember is one of the few games that I played to the end, and I think I beat it. And I think like the post credits or not the post after you win, like it's got the Arnold Schwarzenegger thumbs up going into the lava. I believe I could be wrong. It's been forever since I played that video game, that arcade game. So that's my number 3 pick is Terminator 2. Number 2 pick is an old school classic. I remember riding my bicycle down to the video store because they were the one place that had it. I did not have a video game system that had this yet, but it did. It was a popular game on the home video game systems as well. But I remember my friend and I going to the video store on our bikes to play this game. Coming in at number 2 is Street Fighter 2. Just a really fun. I mean, those fighting games. I never really got into Mortal Kombat. Played it a little bit, but Street Fighter 2 was so much fun. You got more characters than Street Fighter 1. I think the graphics were a little bit better. But yeah, the kind of the fighting arcade game. Remembering. I remember a big part of those games is remembering kind of there were almost generic movements that you would do that would kind of apply to a lot of those fighting games, like a Hadouken, like going down towards the person, moving the controller down towards the person, and then while hitting the punch would make the Hadouken. Like there were different combinations of things that you would do with the joystick and the buttons to do all the special moves, and those special moves a lot of times applied to other fighting games. So it was kind of nice in that way to be able to, if you were good at any of these fighting games, you can kind of play the other games and get by. But yeah, I love Street Fighter. I always played. What was my character? I think I always played like Ken or Ryu. I think were the ones they were kind of similar karate guys. But I'm sure I had played, attempted with all of them. Sonya was a great one. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 was like, it's a lot of fun also because you're fighting the person a lot of the times, in an arcade game, you're competing against the person standing right next to you. And similar to like I would later in life get into playing pool in bars, and it's a very similar system, like pickup basketball in a lot of ways. You go to a thing, they're playing a video game, they're shooting pool, and you want to call next. The way you do it, if you're in a bar playing pool, or if you're in a arcade playing video games, you put your quarters up, right? And your quarters are holding the next. And that was a fun thing, and it also kind of a stressful thing. I remember actually going to the arcade in the mall, and there was always like a group of people surrounding the Street Fighter 2 video game, because you just kind of watch to see how long somebody can keep winning. But yeah, Street Fighter 2, a ton of fun fighting arcade game. My number 1 arcade game of all time. Anytime I see this anywhere, I have to play it. Coming in at number 1 is Area 51. Like I said, I love, for whatever reason, I love these arcade games that kind of immerse you in the gameplay a little bit more. Instead of just a joystick and buttons, which there's a ton of games like that, like Street Fighter. Area 51 you got your pistols, right? And you're going through these levels where, things are jumping out, and you want to kill the aliens, and you want to avoid killing your normal humans that are like scientists or people on vacation. I remember playing this game at the lunchroom at the place I was going to be a video game tester. and you didn't have to pay for it. So if I died, it didn't matter. I remember going through, and I think I beat the game, but it is so much fun. Like just kind of standing there and just picking everything off, shooting down to reload and getting everything done. I love playing that game so much. Like I would play that game to where my arm just would feel like it's gonna fall off. But it's just for whatever reason, it is the most fun game. It's a lot of fun to play. The graphics are kind of fun too. It's kind of that pseudo realistic thing. Like a lot of the people and the movements are like just video clips of people instead of animated things. So it has a kind of almost like a Mortal Kombat did. But yeah, just such a fun game that I love to play. Anytime I see it, I enjoy playing it. But yeah, I mean, by my list, you could tell that I enjoy games that kind of immerse you a little bit more, kind of like Dance Dance Revolution, I guess. This is a game that I will never get into. But yeah, let's go over my top 5 arcade games, starting off with number 5, Cruising USA. Number 4, Silent Scope. Number 3, Terminator 2. Number 2, Street Fighter 2. And my number 1 arcade game is Area 51. Let me know what your favorite arcades games are. I'm sure I didn't name a lot of games that people love to play, but those are my top games. If I'm in an arcade and I see these games, I will probably play all of them. But yeah, that's my top 5 arcade games. Let me know what your top 5 arcade games are in the comments, or hit me up on social media at Ray Taylor. Go get yourself some amazing coffee from our sponsor, Station House Coffee, on Instagram, stationhousecoffee.com on the web. Go order yourself some small batch, single origin, premium coffee straight from Vermont. Let's support some small businesses, shall we? Shall we do that in this time of economic crisis? We support our small businesses and get ourselves a nice bag of roasted premium coffee to grind and run water through it and drink it and get all the benefits that you get from drinking coffee, like waking up, staying alert, get your mind right, get your body right, get yourself some Station House Coffee. Follow them on Instagram, stationhousecoffee.com. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/Inspired Disorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!